My name is John Ross with Finance on a Budget. In this video, I want to review several key reasons why you are financially and mentally broken. By the end of this video, you will have a clearer understanding of what's been going wrong for the past few years. I will give you many actionable steps to help guide you in the right direction. Be sure to subscribe, give this video a like, and ring that notification bell. I know you're tired of the money hassles and the mental gymnastics required to get through a day. How do I know that you're actually ready to make a go of it? Well, you're watching this video, aren't you? You haven't clicked off just yet. So yeah, I know you're broke. But the good news is I also know that you want to do something about it. The real question remaining is whether you actually hit rock bottom or not. You may know that you have money problems, but you may not know how to actually fix it. But just like a gambler, smoker, or alcoholic, you won't be able to fix the core problem until you're so far down in the dark that the thought of paying a $25 minimum payment makes you want to vomit. You need to be looking at your partner and children and feel like the biggest loser ever. You need to have the stink of shame all over you. It's only then, when you've reached that point, that you're desperate enough to try anything and everything, because maybe, just maybe, you won't repeat the same cycle all over again. Personally, I've been through bankruptcy twice. When I reached that point, it was an immediate solution to the daily problem of hemorrhaging money and having nothing. Unfortunately, it didn't solve the lifestyle problem. Like people who win the lottery and lose it all, they're destined to simply rack up the debt once again. And I did. It wasn't until I lost my house, 2 cars, and racked up crazy amount of debt, and then had to look my family in the eyes and explain to them why I screwed up again. I was so mad at myself. Things were going really well, and then I lost my biggest client. Before I knew it, I was constantly 3 weeks late on my rent payment. I was still 2 years away from being able to file bankruptcy again. I had nowhere to financially move. I had actually hit the bottom and I knew it. The first step to recovery is knowing that you have a problem and wanting to change. You're still here with me, so I know you're on the right track and all that. But before you think it's all sunshine and butterflies from here, let me give you some tough love and tell you how bad it's still going to get. To actually get off the spinning wheel, you can't sit around wallowing in self-pity. You need to decide to get off the couch and take proactive measures to make sure that you go from broke as hell to financially free. It took us about 8 months of dedicated focus. Only then will you be far enough along in the process to actually break that wheel of paycheck to paycheck mindset. That's about when you will have enough leeway in your finances to put in an extra $500 to $1,000 of extra money per month to see the real change. Right now, that seems like a complete impossibility. I remember sitting around with the mortgage mediator and responding to him, "You want me to do what?" But I'm telling you, it really is possible. With that much money to move around, you can eliminate all of your credit cards, personal loans, and auto loans after about another 12 to 24 months. Student loans and mortgages will generally take a bit longer. It took you years to reach the point you're at now, so you can't expect to fix it overnight. So just get that thought right out of your head. So keep your chin up and bear with me, because it's not going to be pretty. The first reason why you're broke is because you haven't set any clear and defined goals for yourself. No, this isn't a personal attack on your ability to make long-term goals. It's just the fact of the matter that most of us are hardwired to be short-term planners. And today's generation even more so. We often think about instant gratification before anything else. If you're paid on Friday and you fill up the car and go hang out with your friends for the weekend, before you know it, it's Sunday night and your car payment is due on Monday morning. You may have that covered on Monday, but on Tuesday you long since forgot about the gas you bought 4 days ago. And now you have a negative balance in your account with 3 more days until payday. If you're a freelancer, then the whole thing is even more prevalent. You can't survive if you live project to project. The very nature of a freelancer is living with the uncertainty of your next job. If you haven't planned ahead, even a little, then you desperately need to reorganize your priorities. If you're more of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of person, you might think that having a financial plan is extra energy and you don't really need one. But the fact that you're broke and you're still here with me only means that it didn't really work out for you. It's time for you to sit down and draft a plan for the future. The thing is, most major financial issues can be avoided by simply having an organized set of money goals that help you build momentum towards something for tomorrow. And no, tomorrow is not that far away. Having a monthly budget alone can spell the difference between just doing okay today and being financially secure for the future. Now, you may be thinking that having a monthly budget and a financial plan won't do you any good if you've got a crappy job that pays terribly. And yeah, maybe that's just it. Your pay is just too damn low. Not having enough income is a huge deal. If you're still earning close to your starting pay, despite working there for several years, then having the best financial plan or monthly budget won't do squat. In this case, you need to know your worth and look for a better source of income that simply pays more. Inflation isn't going to wait for your boss to notice or care that you need more money. You either ask for a raise or get a side hustle. Maybe you could switch to the night shift for the next few months because it pays an extra $2 an hour. Maybe you need to learn a new skill and get a new job altogether. But John, what's the use in having a credit card if I can't rely on it when I'm in a pinch? Again, sorry to burst your bubble, but relying too much on debt will bury you in an avalanche of steep credit card bills with balances that carry over from month to month. Relying on your credit cards to fund your lifestyle, but not being able to pay off every bill every month is a huge red flag that something about your financial way of thinking is way off. Personally, I have 2 active credit cards, one for business and one for personal. Both are paid down to zero a few times a month. This allows me to spend well past my limits and collect huge points every month, which get counted as part of my monthly income. We still have one credit card with a chunk of debt still in it that I'm chipping away at every month. The thing is, it's from an old 30% interest credit card. Now it's on a 0% interest card that's good for 18 months of interest free. This buys me some time to pay off the other interest-bearing debt first. Whoever said you had to follow the herd and get sucked into the quicksand of student loan debt? Right now, my son is only 13, but we're having serious family conversations about what type of debt we want him to have when starting out in life. For me, my student loan was only $7,000, but I had that for more than a decade. My wife's was $14,000, and over a decade later, she still has another $4,000 to go. Now, imagine carrying a $25,000 debt, or $50,000, or $100,000. Even if the after-graduation pay is really good, how many decades will you still be paying off all that debt? Perhaps a local community college or online solution could get you where you need to go at a fraction of the cost. Personally, nobody ever, not once, asked me about my college degree. I went from a college to a grunt job in the industry. I later kept jumping from one company to the next, acquiring new skills and experiences. 15 years later, I became tired of the whole industry anyway. Another major reason why you may be broke is because of poor spending habits. Most of us don't track our spending, and we tend to spend more money than we earn. I can't tell you the number of times my wife and I based our spending on what we expected to make, and that led us to the point where we had no idea where our money was going. Freelancers tend to fall into this trap way too often. We spend on autopilot without realizing that freelancing by nature is not stable, and the money that we make is by no means on autopilot. Even if you have your own reliable client, they have their own jobs that get pushed back or canceled all the time. This is where the whole wants versus needs dichotomy comes in. If you spend on things out of habit, then you spend on things that you don't need. You have no idea how to spot a good deal. And then when you think that something is a steal, you end up buying something cheap and poor quality, leading you to spend more on repairs or replacement. Something cheap on price could be considered cheap on materials. This is not a bargain. However, nobody said that you would use all of the features of the more expensive item. So sometimes the mid-range could work out great for you. My wife is a chef, and so she buys quality materials and makes us the best meals. However, if I were a bachelor, I'd be happy with pizza every night. I wouldn't even know what to do with half of what she bought anyway. Now this part is going to hurt. Your fixed costs are likely too high. You buy too much, you eat out too much, and you drive too much. You're happy to buy new things and have fancy vacations with no regard whatsoever to your priorities and the things that should matter the most. You have no idea how to take advantage of promotions and discounts. You act purely on impulse. Meanwhile, your assets are depreciating, and what little you have in your measly savings easily gets used up for a self-proclaimed emergency. If I'm hitting too close to home here, that's actually a good thing. Remember, I'm in no position to judge because I was exactly where you are now. I couldn't hold on to my money if my life depended on it. Without any spending prioritizations and savings for real emergencies, I had to drain my bank account when push came to shove. I saved too little and too late. I was in too deep. Cutting out a $5 cup of coffee wouldn't have even made a dent in my debt. But it is something I could have started with. But if you think all you need is to cut back on unnecessary spending, I'm here to tell you that is not going to be enough. It can help, yes, but what you really need to do is get into the habit of setting aside 1% of what you make, putting it right into savings. So if you make $500 a week, put aside $5. It'll seem silly, but it's the habit, not the amount. I spent years trying to put aside 10% at first, but only found a few weeks later I needed to use the money to pay bills anyway. So if you start small with the goal of forming the habit, hopefully you won't be oversaving based on your current debts and income. Invest in the right things, like your own education. This way you can boost your financial literacy and show that you really value yourself and the long-term success of your family. I'd like to remove the bad habit of watching TV and replace it with something more productive. But like everything else I'm talking about here, you need to be in the correct mind space to follow through with change. If you're not, there really isn't too much I can do for you. Taking out a 401k loan sounds like a smart idea. I mean, think about it. You're borrowing money from yourself and paying yourself the interest. Which is better than paying the bank the interest, right? Wrong. Not only will you have even more added debt to pay back, but you're also losing out on the passive income your 401k would have brought you. For us, we completely cashed out and gave our entire retirement money to the bank to save our house. $22,000 cash. Everything that we had. In exchange, they agreed to make an affordable $1,250 a month payment. And I kid you not, 2 weeks later, I received a letter from them saying that my monthly payment was going to be $1,750 per month. Once again, we couldn't afford the house. What these greedy banks do is evil. But to add even more insult to injury at tax time, it became a $22,000 windfall income. Our taxes that year had us owing $7,000 over the next 3 years. We let our pride get in the way when we seriously should just let that house go long before we actually did. Don't sell out on your future for what you can have today. Think about it this way. For every $1,000 you spend today, that's going to be one extra week before you can retire. While it's not completely accurate, it does make you think. If you need to buy a new refrigerator at $1,000, you can easily justify working one extra week 20 to 30 years from now. I mean, you need a new refrigerator, right? But what about a 2-year-old $25,000 vehicle versus a brand new $40,000 vehicle? Are you prepared to work for over a year longer just to own that vehicle new? What if you bought a 4-year-old vehicle that's only $12,000? Now you could possibly retire 4 years earlier. Think about it. Personally, I drive a 15-year-old top-of-the-line Toyota Highlander with just under 200,000 miles. I don't have a monthly payment. I own it free and clear. After I fixed up the rattling exhaust pipe, replaced the cheap radio I put in to replace the original, and added a backup camera, you really can't tell the difference between my free car and one that would have cost me $500 a month. Even if it only gets another 50,000 miles, I still get to save $30,000 in monthly payments. I swear they're going to bury me with this car. There are so many poor decisions that we make based off of emotions. But a lifetime of bad decisions doesn't mean that you just screw up, give up, and stick your head in the sand, hoping it'll all go away. Don't settle on feeling miserable and sorry for yourself over failing at something. Smart people fail forward. Always go forward. Live within your means. Forgo instant gratification. Have a producer mentality, not a consumer mentality. That means you build upon the experience that you have in order to produce something of value rather than simply consuming all the time. Be resourceful, find some side hustles, and don't be afraid to sacrifice a couple of things. I mean, who cares if you miss out on that 5-star vacation? Honestly, wouldn't you rather pay off that $4,000 personal loan anyway? And don't let social pressures dictate how you spend your money. When we recently went to buy a mattress, we were considering one that was pretty expensive at about $4,000. The salesman tried to pull a fast one on us. He asked, "Do you guys like to go on vacation?" "Of course we do." He then asked, "How much do you typically spend?" And I said, "At most about $1,000 a year." He really didn't have much to say after that. I was supposed to say $4,000 at some Disney World one-week extravaganza. But we just like to travel around looking for new bike trails. It's free and it gets us out of the house. The thing is, if you're surrounding yourself with the wrong kind of people, you will always be trying to keep up with everyone else's lifestyle but your own. Don't let influencers influence you either. Your self-discipline should be stronger than your desire to keep up appearances. Why obsess over looking rich when you can actually be rich? Here's the deal. Change is a process, not an event. You have to take charge and take care of this because no one else will do it for you. That said, I hope I was able to shed some light on what you're doing wrong so that you can start working on what to do right. In my last video, we started talking about financial planning and how having a good plan today will set you up for success next month. In my next video, we will be talking about the not so common reasons why you're financially unstable. I hope to see you then. Be sure to subscribe, give this video a like, and ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching.